All right. Item number two, we're still on item number 2 in the second speaker card, person with the name O.
Oh, so you still don't know how to read. Maybe you should describe what's on the card for the record. But the point here about us wetbacks is that we know what an alley is. I grew up with alleys, I grew up with easements, and as a fucking wetback, I know what they're used for. Illegal dumping, but they should be used for emergencies. They're not for wetbacks or dickheads to park their cars there overnight. It's not for assholes to block the driveway, block the easement, block the alleys for fucking emergencies because you think you could do so. But the issue here is whether or not private or residential from Fat Imelda, which we already know is going to be no objection. And why do I say that? Because, again, payment and documents and recordings and fees, you can't find that shit no more. Have you ever gone to the assessor's office and looked up an easement and looked up all this shit? This shit goes back as far as time stood still. And now we got all this shit of documents being destroyed. And I can relate to this because, I have an easement where I live and I share it with a fucking wetback. And the dickhead likes to park his cars there, multiple cars. And he makes it difficult for a disabled asshole like me to back in and out of it. It's supposed to be open. We're supposed to share it, but my understanding is fucking wetbacks come here with a fucking attitude that they have white privileges to do what they want. No, motherfucker. Go back to your fucking country and know that America don't stand for that. So Trump on this, motherfucker. We're against this issue under item 1 and 2. Fuck your results, and thank you.
All right. And Ms. Wang, you're here for this item as well. Is that correct?
Good morning, Board Commissioners and Representatives. My name is Hui Huang, once more, with Bureau of Engineering. I will not go over the conditions or requirements to fulfill the relinquishment process since I just gave you some background and context. So I will only speak about this site, but do let me know if you have any questions or follow-ups for me. The property before you is at 7044 White Oak Avenue, and it had set aside a future easement for future public alley use for the city in 1959. This property was later sold to a third party. The future easement area was never accepted by the city, and the area was not improved nor used as an alley. Currently, it is housed within private property inside the fence area of the residential property at this site. It on the aerial photo, it shows that it's somewhat of like a landscape backyard area usage. Figures 1 and 2 of the report do show, as I mentioned, the aerial view and the street view of the existing conditions of the future easement area under your consideration. Council District 6 was notified of this request and they did not voice any objections to this request. Although not detailed in this report, we did review the entire block area. All parcels along this stretch are residential zone except for a public park, the Jesse Owens Mini Park that Reagan Parks manages. All parcels adjoining this area have existing access to a public street, and at various parcels along the alignment, portions of this future easement were eliminated previously. I would say more than 50% of the easement rights have been revoked or removed from the city at this point. That concludes my presentation. I can take any questions you may have for me.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any questions on this item? It's very similar to the previous item as well, and I see just again in the transmittals that this is all a residential area, and there's no there is no public access because the houses abut the
That is
alley.
correct. Along the entire easement area, and as I mentioned previously, think of
Yeah.
easement as just a rights. There's no physical anything built or
Yeah.
improved within there, and that is correct. There's no existing physical alley along that stretch.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll move this. Oh, did you have a question? Okay. I'll move this item if we have a second. All right. Ms. Cole, we have a motion by myself and a second by Pro Tem Davis.
We'll tabulate the vote to adopt item number 2, beginning with you, Vice President Villegas,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Davis, aye.
and Commissioner Corsan.
Aye.
All ayes, and the item is unanimously adopted and carries forthwith.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Wang. All right. Let's move on then to item number 3. And on this item, we have 2 speakers. We have the first one with the letter starting with F. Person with the letter starting with F.
He's gone.
Okay. I've given person with the letter starting with F ample time to come, and I don't see, so we will move on. And next person we have is Mike Greenspan.
I'll pass.
Okay. All right, then item number 3, this is a revised status of funding. Task order solicitation number 17, formerly number 53, Affordable Housing and Sustainable Communities Round 3 projects, recommending that the board approve revising the status of funding for the Affordable Housing and Sustainable Communities Round 3. And this is a task order solicitation number 17 to reflect the available funding in fund number 100/54. And before us, we have Mr. Chen.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jan Chen, and I'm from the Bureau of Engineering. I'm here representing the Affordable Housing Sustainable Communities Program, or ASIC for short. The Bureau currently has a contract for design services with the firm David Evans and Associates under
Can you
TAS.
pull the mic too?
Oh, okay. Under task order solicitation 17 of contract number C134276 for design services of the projects under round 3 of the ASIC program. The city established front funding for these consultant costs in fund number 90 or 59C, Department 94. However, in order to accommodate additional front funding needs and for this round and subsequent ASIC rounds, the 2022-2023 adopted budget appropriated $6 million in the CTIEP program funds. These funds were deposited in fund number 100, department number 54. The board, in August of 2023, the board approved a motion directing or authorizing the Office of Accounting to pay for invoices for TOS number 17 using both of these funding sources. However, in January of this year, City Council adopted a new council file, number 15-0087-S9, wherein it was established that all reimbursable funds for eligible expenses for ASIC rounds be transferred to fund number 154. And council directed the Bureau of Engineering to use this account as the only front funding source for all current and future ASIC rounds.
Okay.
Therefore, the Bureau of Engineering is requesting that the board approve revising the status of funding for ASIC Round 3, TOS number 17, to reflect the latest directions from Council and designate fund number 154 as the sole front funding source.
Okay. Thank you so much for your report and providing just clarity on this. Commissioners, do we have any questions on this item? I think we'll just be able to better track through this new account our expenses on affordable housing.
Correct.
Yeah. All right, and thanks for all of the transmittals and the motions by the council. All right, I don't see any questions from our commissioners. Do we have a, all right, I'll second that. Ms. Cole, we have a motion by Pro Tem Davis and a second by myself.
We'll tabulate the vote to adopt item number 3, beginning with you, Vice President Villegas,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Corsair.
Aye.
All ayes, and the item is unanimously adopted and carries forthwith.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
VP Villegas, for the record, the motion was by Davis and seconded by whom?
By me.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to item number 4. And we have Mike Greenspan here for item number 4.
Mike Greenspan, please wait till I'm up here before you start the clock. Anyway, this item was I actually was at the council meeting in Heather Hutt's district, or I should say at city council when this item in Heather Hutt's district was mentioned. And I always think it's interesting when you're going to put parking in. We always could use parking. One of the things I'm asking is how many parking spaces are going to be built at this Pico Pocket Park? I know that obviously you're doing the Santa naughty and nice because naughty is WM Klarman Construction. They're getting it. It's unmerited as discussed in this report. And the nice list goes to Ford EC Incorporated, the first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder and award Ford a contract to the Pico Pocket Park and parking structure at $17,493,000. Now, I'd just like to know how many parking spaces we are getting. Neither the City Council or the Board of Public Works ever put a number to that. And I was just telling my friend about one of the biggest games they play. Oh, you'll build something and say there's 10 parking spaces. Well, the 10 parking spaces will be compacts. But in reality, you folks are driving SUVs, so that's really 5 parking spaces. But on paper, it's a scam and looks like 10 parking spaces. Are we going to be like that? Or maybe we'll be like Fisherman's Wharf. I drove a Cadillac into the parking lot at Fisherman's Wharf up there in San Francisco. My car went over both lines. So when there should be perhaps even minimum square footage of parking spaces, but also we should know what we're getting and what we're paying for.
So we see we're going to be pulling out a lot of
I
dirt,
haven't called
right?
up the second person yet.
Pardon me?
You interrupted. I haven't called up the second person
I'm the
yet.
second speaker.
I don't understand. There is for item number 4, there is a person that is scheduled to speak. However, there is just a design on here. So the person
No,
with the
ma'am, that's called
design on the
artwork.
speaker card can come and speak.
Yeah, I'm the artist. That's my signature.
All right. Well, we have to follow quorum, so you have to wait until I give you that
Well,
attention to be able to
But
speak.
listen, you've been starting
Time can
that
start
clock.
now, Tansy.
You've been starting that motherfucking clock before we get up here, you racist fat fucking bitch. So stop being that way with us.
Please stick
Not
to
all
the
of us are
subject.
retarded.
Please stick to the subject
What
matter.
I want to know for the Pico Pocket Park and parking structure garage is how many disabled parking are you going to have for van access? And in addition to that, I want an audit from the ADA consultant to investigate whether or not you're improving ADA parking for the disabled and non-disabled, because not all of us are stupid like the vice president there, because she continues to provide millions of dollars for how many parking areas? How many parking areas are you going to have there? I mean, this is a pocket park. When I lived in Downey, we had a pocket park, and the fucking niggers never came out to clean it. I had to call and complain, what is the contingency for maintenance there? But no one looks at that as a problem. I do. I'm a clean motherfucker. Don't you see all my holes on my pants? Because I'm a holy motherfucker, too. I am Jesus. Jesus fucking Christ hates you niggers for letting these type of millions of dollars get stolen, because the issue is how much is going to cost to remove that dirt? Are we removing dirt by kilos? Are we removing dirt by pounds? Are we removing dirt by what? Because I want to know how much fucking dirt you're removing from the Native American land that I occupied as Jesus. That's my land. And if you destroy Native American cemeteries or our culture, politely, fuck you.
All right, moving on, for item number 4, these are joint reports with Bureau of Engineering and Bureau of Contract Administration. And this is to award a contract award for Pio Pico Pocket Park and parking structure, recommending that the board find the communication from WM Clarkman Construction dated December 18, 2023, to be unmerited as discussed in this report, and declare item number 2, declare Ford EC Inc. first low bidder to be the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, and award Ford a contract for the Pio Pico Pocket Park and parking structure for $17,493,000. And number 3, authorize the president and 2 members of the board to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained by the city attorney. And for item number 4, we have, Mr. Steve Fierce. Good morning.
Yes. Well, good morning. So for a little background on this, the project is located at 694 South Oxford Avenue in the boundaries of the existing parking lot of the Pio Pico Korean Town Branch Library. Currently, the site is paved, and the project includes demolition of approximately.
Can you just talk close? Yeah, talk closer to the mic.
Sorry about. Okay.
Thank you.
So the project includes demolition of approximately 26,000 square feet of existing asphalt parking lot, construction of an underground parking structure, construction of a pocket park on the parking deck, and construction of an entrance canopy at the existing Pio Pico Library, and replacement of curtain walls of the existing exterior building facade. The contract duration is 730 days, calendar days. And the project environmental impact has been analyzed, and the project scope was determined to be exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. The lowest of 4 bids received, compared with the city's engineer's estimate of $20,406,750,000, was by Ford, and it's for $17,493,000. Their business inclusion program their MBE, they were 0%. Their WBE is 0%. SBE was 1.95%. And the EBE was 1.95%. There is some BOE. There was a bid protest noted, and so BOE staff noted that Ford submitted escrow bid documents a few minutes delayed, and BOE staff believes that the late submittal of the escrow bid documents did not give Ford a competitive advantage, since the escrow bid documents are only used if BOE and the contractor are unable to come to an agreement when negotiating change orders during construction. So therefore, the BOE staff recommends that the board waive this informality in Ford's bid. The Deputy City Attorney, Ms. Adina Hopenstein, has concurred with these recommendations contained in the report. And so based on the range of bids for this project, staff believes Ford's bid is reasonable. The contract may be awarded to Ford, first low bidder, subject to verification of all other bidding requirements. So for this project, the Bureau of Contract Administration verified that the first low bidder, Ford, and Green Building Corporation, respectively, are certified LBEs. This did not change the order of the bids, and it did not affect the recommendation of the award. This project was advertised with anticipated participation levels, I'm sorry. So the mandatory subcontract minimum requirements of the project 25%, and the contractor has complied by pledging the subcontractor participation level of 50.54%. As I mentioned earlier, there was a bid protest, and so a letter received on December 18th, 2023 by Clorman stated that Ford EC is not a qualified, responsive, and responsible bidder, having the lowest total base bid amount. And Ford EC's response letter dated January 17th, 2024. Ford addressed the allegations in Clorman's bid protest and responded that they are the lowest responsible bid. Staff reviewed the letters and submitted by Clorman and Ford and made the following determinations. The BCA Office of Contract Administration reviewed Ford's bid documents and determined that Ford's pledged a subcontractor participation level of 50.54%, which was calculated after subcontracting, subtracting the fixed cost items of $305,000. Therefore, Ford will self-perform 49.46% of the work, which exceeds the 35% requirement. Secondly, the board office confirmed that the receipt of Ford's escrow bid documents December 8th, 2023. And then third, a review of Ford's bid and associated schedule of values reveals that Ford may have separated the scope of work in different manner than other bidders, and their bid for the concrete parking structure scope of work also includes combined footings for park lighting, play structures, and park furniture. Ford may also select to self-perform some of the landscape work, further reducing their bid in the park elements. Although Ford's bid for the park scope of work is approximately $4 million lower than the next lowest bidder, Ford's bid for the underground parking structure is approximately $4 million higher than the next lowest bidder. We believe that Ford's bid addresses the entire envelope of the project scope. So in summary, staff recommends that the board find Clorman bid protest to be unmerited. And the Deputy City Attorney, Ms. Adina Hopenstam, has reviewed this response and concurs with this recommendation. So Ford and Clorman were both requested to extend their bid bonds, which expire on May 5th, 2024. So both contractors have agreed to extend their bid bond until June 7th, 2024. So in conclusion, in view of the above finding, staff recommends that the board declare Ford the first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder and award Ford the contract for this project. The funding for this project is total funding of $19,493,000 comes from the funds, which include Community Development Redevelopment Agency and excess sorry, let me get that right. Community Redevelopment Agency Los Angeles excess bond proceeds funds and Quimby funds and Municipal Improvement Angeles funds, MIPLA funds. So with that, that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Good project that we have before us today at Council District 10's location for this really needed improvement to the Pio Pico Pocket Park. Commissioners, do we have questions on this item?
I did want to talk about the funding. You were talking a little low. I didn't hear clear. But did you say that we have federal funds on this project?
No, there is no
Did you
federal
say
funds.
CDBG funds? Not really?
No, this is we have CRA LA,
Oh,
EBC
CRLA
funds,
funds.
Quimby, and MICLA.
Okay. And how much is the total of this particular item?
The total award amount is
Yeah, is it, how many million? Is it 19
it's
million or 17? How many?
19,493,000. Oh, 19,493,000.
Okay, because I have 17 million if I'm looking at the right item here.
Yeah, our board report says
Oh, I'm
17
sorry.
million.
That's the award amount.
I think,
That's the base bid.
yeah,
That's the basement without contingency, is that perhaps the
That's right.
case? And so the contingency is how much?
10% contingency.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And as we look at the, this came from the lowest responsible bidder came from the list, right, that we had?
I believe this was an open bid.
It was an open
This
bid.
was an open bid.
And then in terms of the business inclusion effort here, how do we assess that from this project?
Is there someone? Yeah, Carl. I have someone from BCA here, and they can speak to that.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm from the Bureau of Contract Administration. The percentage was calculated by taking the bid and subtracting the fixed cost items as well as the specialty items. And that's how we came up with the percentage of 50.63%.
Okay, great.
Do we have any other questions? Yeah, Commissioner Corson.
Thank you. One, could we have our action item today reflect the total amount, including the contingency? So, Steve, if you could read that number in the record, and then Tansy, if we can just adjust it so we can reflect that. And then,
Yeah,
Pardon me. The record should reflect the amount of the award based on the bid, and then if I see no concerns with what is being suggested here, to also reflect the contingency amount, but just don't want to make it seem like the contractor now is entitled to that contingency amount, because
Right.
contingency is contingency and outside of the proposal.
yeah, the total amount for the project has a $2 million discrepancy that in our board letter, it's reflecting at 17,493,000.
Right.
And Mr. Fierce read it as 19. He's saying that this is that contingency. We just want to reflect on the board letter the correct amount. And normally contingency is already reflected in the total.
Correct.
It's not separate.
Right. I'm going to have Alex be the project manager. Alex.
Do not disrupt the meeting. That is your first warning. Otherwise, you'll leave. Go on.
Commissioner, could you repeat the question, please?
We're asking for the correct amount on this project. Our board indicates 17,493,000 for the Pico Pocket Park and parking structure. However, Mr. Fierce, in his report, he indicated 19 million, so it's a $2 million discrepancy.
So the 90 million is including the alternate, the add alternate, which is the front facade. And then the second alternate is 3 other facade of the existing Pico.
Okay.
I thought it was the contingency.
We're not going to go in
sorry.
circles here. Just
Yeah,
I
I
need
think
to
I
clear.
misspoke. I misspoke. Maybe I should correct myself. I'm sorry about that. So what I was mentioning in my report earlier when I was talking about project available funding, I was just mentioning the available funding that we had, right, of 19,493,000. That was our available funding. So I did misspeak.
Okay.
The award amount we're seeking here is 17,493,000.
It is 17.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
I just misspoke when I was talking about the available funding.
That's
So
fine.
I have a question.
Oh,
So I'm,
before you
yeah.
move on, were you done? I have one more. Okay.
our past practice in the presentation of items before the board includes contingency. I'm trying to determine if in fact this one is presented in the same pattern in which we present motions before the board that includes contingency.
Contingency.
Is the contingency included in the fee
Is it?
that is being presented in this motion to
Is
us?
contingency in that? No, the contingency is not included in the 17. So
Then
that is the bid.
But the past practice, as I understand it, before
Yeah, that's what,
bureaus that present before the board, is that they put contingency in there. Is that not correct? Maybe not.
I'll let the Bureau of Engineering respond, but just for clarity, I will read from in the bid package, or pardon me, in the board package at page 59, you have the proposal, what came from the bidder, and it shows 17,493,000. So the award is to the contractor for the amount bid, but it is before this body that is the head of the department and then therefore the head of the bureau to understand what contingency is for the purpose of funding of the project. So I think that transparency is important, but there may be a distinction in what the amount awarded should track what was proposed.
thank you for that clarity. I understand that, and I think that for transparency, the contingency, this is not the first time we go through this, but the contingency should be included in the
Yes.
total amount that the board is approving.
Correct. That's our past practice.
Yeah. And so I'm going to propose, well, why don't we let Commissioner Corson finish his line of questions?
I think you were going to go exactly where I was going to go, but I was going to ask the city attorney to provide us the language of how we can include the contingency portion in our actions. And so from what I've seen is when we don't do that, and then the transparency part, but then there's always the internal confusion when things come back with change orders that exceed the contingency amount. So I just want to make sure, like, out of the gate, we're doing this fully reflecting what we're approving.
In the recommendations, whether it's in the same recommendation or an additional one, to reflect the amount of contingency that has been allocated for the project, that would give that both transparency and authority. But just to be clear that the award is going to be the amount
Correct.
that's consistent with the bid.
Correct.
So I will then, I don't know if there's an amending motion to reflect that or in what the board is going to be approving today, but it would be helpful to get the answers to your questions.
Yeah, I get what you're saying is and just correct me if I'm not understanding this right on my end. The bid amount from Ford EC was for the 17 million.
Correct.
As reflected in our attachments. And the contingency is not reflected in that. However, in previous board reports that have been before us, when we're approving a budget, the contingency is already included. And so I'm not sure how we reconcile that, either today, either with an amendment, or if we hold it over for a week and let I guess, both bureaus be able just to reflect the correct amounts. I'm not sure. I mean, those are two options.
I'll just suggest if we could add a fourth item to authorize
10% contingency?
a contingency of $2 million, but I was mentally pausing on how it should be phrased, that it's just contingency, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and I would feel more comfortable. I don't know if that is indeed going to be the correct amount for contingency.
They've already
For
designated.
typical new construction, we put in 10% for contingency of the total amount.
Okay.
It's listed in
Yeah.
page 6 in the packet that it's, well, I think I just missed it, but it's listed, it's the total amount, and then no, page 10, that it says 17,493,000 and then contingencies of $2 million.
Yeah, I see that. All right. I was just trying to give them a little bit extra time. I don't know if that's going to be indeed the budget, because we've seen also just, sometimes some overages, and if that's going to be indeed the total contingency. And I wanted to know if you are comfortable with us clarifying the board report to, let me see.
Yeah, I guess that's.
So on number, go ahead.
I was just going to say, yes, the table on the bottom of page 10, leading to page 11, where we do identify the $2 million for contingency.
So on recommendation number 2, it says declare Ford EC the first low bidder to be the lowest responsive bidder and award Ford a contract for the Pio Pico Pocket Park and parking structure for $17,493,000. And I wanted to include on there, and $2 million for contingency.
Correct.
And number 3, authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained by the city attorney.
Slight amendment, authorize engineering to have the authority of up to $2 million contingency, just to be clear that you're not awarding that to Ford at the
Okay,
outset.
up to.
Or, yeah, whatever.
When
they-
we say contingency, that in and of itself is self-evident, that the contingency is not the award. It is the contingency in case, in fact, that it is needed. And further, and in conclusion, the staff that prepares reports know what we're talking about, because they have a pattern of doing that in heretofore motions that come before this board. So this is not something that they are not familiar with. This is consistent with how they have prior submitted these motions before us.
Are we good on that?
Go ahead, go ahead.
I think Dr. Davis, the difference here is I mean, I've only been here 2 years, but this is the first time I've seen 3 bodies approve a project. So this is library, and then RAP, and then us. So there could be a little bit of
You're talking
confusion.
about the collaboration between the various bureaus.
Right. And that's where my question was going to go is, was this already, so in process wise, and maybe this is for the city attorney as well, are we do we approve this contract and then it's done, or does RAP and the library commission also need to approve the contract? How does this work process wise?
The engineering is lead.
The library actually own the properties,
I see.
although this is a park that built on top of the library properties. So and the Recon Park is using Bureau of Engineering contract to award the contract to the contractors.
That's what I thought.
So it's only go through the Board of Public Works.
Only through- Okay.
We have an MOU between the 3 parties early on that Recon Park has already approved the plans and spec to be sent out to bid.
Okay. Thank you.
I think the question was answered. You are the awarding authority of this contract, but there may be, and it sounds like there is, a memorandum of understanding, another agreement between the different departments on responsibilities here. That document would be approved by all those bodies that you mentioned.
Thank you. All right, then we will then move forward with adding the additional language on recommendation number 2. Do we have any other questions aside from the budget?
None.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to read the amendment again, or the amendment. We're going to contract award, Pio Pico Pocket Park and parking structure, recommending the board, number 1, find the communication with WM Claren Construction dated December 18, 2023 to be unmerited and discussed in this report. 2, declare 40C the first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder, and award forward a contract for the Pio Pico Pocket Park and parking structure for $17,493,000 and up to $2 million for contingency. And 3, authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained by the city attorney. Do we have a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
All right, Ms. Cole, there is a motion to, by Commissioner Corson and a second by Pro Tem Davis.
We'll tabulate the vote to adopt item number 4 as amended, beginning with you, Vice President Villegas,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Corsan.
Aye.
All ayes, and the item is unanimously adopted and carries forthwith.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay. All right, then we are, and thank you, City Attorney, for helping us out with that one. Let's move on then to item number 5. And on item number 5, we have 2 speaker cards. And first speaker, we have a design on it. Person with the design on their speaker card. Third time, a person with the design on their speaker card. All right, ample time was given to that individual. And second speaker card is Mike Greenspan.
Yes, Mike Greenspan. Okay, here we go again. Oh, it's only $250,000. Wow, we're getting bargains today. I don't know what to do. We're having Filene's bargain basement. But let's multiply that times 4, and it's $1 million on a yearly, because this is figured out on quarterly. And I don't know about the previous quarters, but the April 15th to June 30th, which ends our fiscal year, and we are in a fiscal year budget crunch. How much were we getting once this fiscal year ends in July 1st? $450 million. I don't know where this money comes from. It must grow on trees. I mean, you can allocate the money, but if it's not there, it's not there. And I can tell you, because there's a special committee meeting today of the Budget and Finance, and they don't usually have special committee meetings unless there's a budget problem, and there's a budget problem because in the meeting they're having, they're going to be borrowing $1.7 billion in bondedness just to pay the bills. So when to operate with your operating capital, you have to go out and sell bonds, then we shouldn't be doing projects. I mean, they're needed, but where's the money? You know, the old show me the money line from that movie. Well, show me the money on this one. It's, as I say, we have to do this stuff, but we have to come up with the money first. And the fact that to just do the day-to-day operations, we are actually having to go to almost $2 billion of bonded indebtedness. That is what I have a problem with. We seem to spend it like it grows on trees, and we don't care. And, well, now, where's the money?
All right, we will go on to item number 5.
Madam,
closing
I
public
submitted
comment.
a public comment card,
We have closed public comment.
but I submitted a card. I'm here.
We called the person with the design, we called them 3 times. We're closing public comment and we're moving on to motions, and this is an AFE. Item number 5, A.L. Larson Boat Shop Incorporated, Bureau of Sanitation and Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $250,000 for encumbrance of funds to pay for maintenance and repair services on monitoring vessels for the term of April 15, 2024 to June 30th, 2024. And before us, we have Stacy, Miss Stacy Carnia.
Good morning, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, City Attorney. My name is Stacy Carnia, and I'm the Biology Section Manager from the Environmental Monitoring Division in LA Sanitation and the Environment. And I'm here to request the approval of the AE for the dry dock maintenance and repairs for marine monitoring vessel Le Maire. Le Maire is used to fulfill requirements in the NPDES permits jointly issued by the US EPA and Regional Water Quality Control Board. These permits allow Hyperion and Terminal Island water reclamation plants to discharge highly treated effluent into Santa Monica Bay and Los Angeles Harbor, as long as specific monitoring and testing requirements are met. All of our ocean monitoring work is legally required per the Porter Cologne Water Quality Control Act, the California Ocean Plan, and the Federal Clean Water Act. In 2023, Le Maire's A-frame required repairs, but now the vessel requires a full haul out and maintenance. Le Maire was last hauled out in 2019, just 5 years ago. It should be done every 18 to 24 months due to the age and condition of the vessel and for the safety and crew of the staff, for the safety of the crew and staff. Current issues and repairs include the trawl cable. In late February 2024, we had a very serious and scary situation when the trawl cable snapped while EMD was out sampling in Santa Monica Bay. We are very lucky that no one was seriously hurt. Trawl sampling is required by the Hyperion NPDES permit to conduct in the first quarter. However, EMD wrote to the regional board requesting an extension due to the damage of the trawl cable. The regional board did approve this extension. Various other issues, including pumps and gears, winches, and other items used to perform our maintenance or perform our monitoring, including the port side generator, which has been experiencing irregular voltage output. Hyperion electricians visited the boat on May 2nd and made adjustments to the voltage dial on the regulator. The engine ran fine that day for a period of time, and we thought the issue had been resolved. Unfortunately, a few days later, the generator shut itself down and is now inoperable. It could be a bad regulator, faulty relays, or a problem with the windings, but nonetheless, the engine will need to be inspected and repaired, preferably by a diesel mechanic. If Lemaire becomes completely inoperable, EMD could not sample for any emergency that is required by the permit. Delays in repair have a domino effect to EMD. Further delays will affect next quarter's samplings, which is the annual Hyperion sampling, which takes place during the third quarter, which is also our busiest time for ocean monitoring. Thank you.
Thank you for your report. That was thorough. Commissioners, do we have any questions on this item?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
I wanted to ask, I certainly support this effort for maintenance. It's certainly critically important. But I was curious, having heard the report, how do we assess when it's time for us to get a new vessel?
Yes, sir. We are actually in the process of going through the approval for a budget to get a new vessel. At this time, we are in a position where we are going to be required to need new vessels due to new air requirements. The California Air Resources Board, also known as CARB, have come up with commercial harbor craft regulations. And due to the age of our vessels, Lemaire is approximately 35 and Marine Surveyor is 61.
Wow.
Our engines are out of compliance.
Oh, that's what I thought.
And so at this time, in order to bring our vessels or to be in compliance, we would need to replace the vessels. We have discussed with numerous people. It is not feasible for either one of our vessels to have the engines replaced. It will need to be a new vessel.
What is usually the lifespan of our usage of vessels?
So other agencies that do similar monitoring, Orange County Sanitation, Los Angeles County Sanitation, City of San Diego, and such, replace their vessels approximately every 20 years.
Okay, so we've done very well,
Far
and
exceeded that.
they've
Yes, sir.
served us very well.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
and
you.
I would just like to mention that currently, again, the EMD staff and our boat crew and Hyperion Maintenance who have taken care of these vessels very well. Part of the regulation, which again, the requirements for CARB, our vessels actually, the engines became out of compliance as of December 31st, 2023.
Sure.
We are only operating right now under a CARB exemption. And so our process of replacing the vessels is also, going on.
Yeah.
But the time that it will take to actually get those, we will continue to operate under our exemption, but we also need to continue to make sure that they are operable and maintained.
Right, and again, I do support this motion. I mean, this proposal that you have put before us, and look forward to our implementing a strategic plan to move forward.
Yes, sir.
We're a big city with big responsibilities, and you have to be equipped to do what you have to do for us. So
Yes, sir.
thank you for bringing this to us and for sharing with me and bringing me up to date on where we are
Thank you.
in this task.
Great, thank you. Thank you for your questions, Pro Tem Davis. Do we have any other questions on this item? I don't have any questions either. Do we have a motion to approve this
So
item?
moved. So,
We have a motion by Pro Tem Davis and a second by Commissioner Corsand. Ms. Cole, if you could just take.
We'll tabulate the vote to adopt item number 5, beginning with you, Vice President Villegas,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
aye.
and Commissioner Corsan.
Aye.
All ayes, and the item is unanimously adopted and carries forthwith.
Thank you. All right, let's move on then to item number 6, and we have one public speaker on this item, Mike Greenspan.
Yes, Mike Greenspan. Okay, now we've got expenditures. Oh, this is only this is cheapy. About $250,000, $335,194.92. for encumbrance of funds to pay for various advertising media for the Office of Wage Standards. Oh boy, that's a good one. After all, somebody finished second and almost got elected to the city council in District 15. And you know what that person did? Wage theft. Yeah. So we don't seem to care. People are doing it all the time. Theft on wages, theft on breaks. I once worked at a job and I read the contract and we got 2 breaks. But that's funny, we only got 1. And when I asked the union steward about them, the union steward asked, "What are you doing with a union contract?" You see, there's a saying at Service Employees Local 399. When you go to the union with a grievance, it's like going to the company. So we've got these sellout unions, service employees all over town, looking the other way when people don't get their breaks. And then the other thing that with some of it's with Uber drivers, but it's with other things, they're calling them independent contractors when they're really employees. Now, it might seem to people, well, does that really matter? Yes, it does. It matters because if you have a business, someone told me you pay about 33% on top of the salary to pay for the taxes for that employee. So we're dodging taxes that we should be paying, and it's just more than wage theft. It's theft from the coffers because people are doing things illegally, but they know the right people. They look the other way, and when you got sellout unions like Service Employees, well, fuck you, workers. Thank you.
All right, item number 5, we'll actually close public comment for item number 6, excuse me. And I will read into the record for item number 6. This one is an AFE, it's miscellaneous vendors. Bureau of Contract Administration and Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for an expenditure in the amount of $335,194.92 for encumbrance of funds to pay for various advertising media for the Office of Wage and Standards. And before us, Mr. Che?
Wow. First off, I commend you on pronouncing my last name. Hardly everybody gets that on the first try.
Oh.
So thank you for that. Good morning, Madam Vice President, Commissioners, and Executive Staff. My name is Roger Che, and I'm with the Office of Wage Standards, Bureau of Contract Administration. On July 1st, 2024, the minimum wage rate will increase to $17.28 for all businesses within the City of LA. Since July 1st of 2022, and thereafter, the minimum wage increases annually based on the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers for the Los Angeles metropolitan area, which is published by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. In addition to wage enforcement, the Office of Wage Standards has been designated to administer the new Freelance Worker Protection Ordinance, which provides protections to freelance workers to help ensure they are treated fairly and compensated in a timely manner, which came into effect of July 1st of last year. Due to the minimum wage increase and new Freelance Worker Protection Ordinance with AE 2476-0010M, we are requesting your authorization to spend $335,194.92 on various advertisements and outreach mediums to continue strategic advertising efforts to target ethnic and diverse communities of employers and employees to inform the public and the upcoming minimum wage rate increase and freelance worker protection topics. The advertisements provide the necessary notice to reach a large and broad audience in 13 various languages through newspapers, radio stations, digital outlets, and various transit outlets, such as bus benches, shelters, like on the side of the bus, and will inform both employers and employees specifically in geographic areas with high concentration of ethnic and immigrant populations. This concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Appreciate it, thank you. All right, and Commissioners, do we have any questions on this AFE?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I just noticed in the packet, not all of the top languages that are frequently spoken in Los Angeles are being targeted. Is there another AFE that's going to come with other groups that?
sorry to interrupt. I apologize.
Go ahead.
At least from, I'm pretty sure from what you have, you see in the newspapers, they have like specific languages and stuff like that. But when it comes to the digital, like with Entravision or even iHeartMedia, they reach out to those other, within that 13 languages, which includes English, Spanish, Armenian, Chinese, Mandarin, and Cantonese, Tagalog, Korean, Japanese, Vietnamese, Russian, Hindu, Farsi, and Thai. So those are the 13 languages that were like almost tier one, I think, probably plus more than tier one. So the language that you don't see for newspapers outlets, they will have that in the digital form on their websites, and as well as just like on their websites and the radio stations.
So we're through on the digital side. So like Entravision and iHeartMedia, we're relying on them to then place those in the digital outlets?
Yes, because they have their own digital like newspapers, as well as like they have like a bunch of different sister companies that they work with as well in that large hub of Entravision or iHeartMedia, that they can actually reach out to all the other languages that the 13 I just listed.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Thank you. And any other questions? No? All right, we have a motion by Commissioner, Pro Tem Davis,
Second.
and a second by Commissioner Corsand. Ms. Tanzi, if you can please take roll.
We'll tabulate the vote to adopt item number 6, beginning with you, Vice President Villegas,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
and Commissioner Corsand.
Aye.
All ayes, and the item is unanimously adopted and carries forthwith.
Thank you very much.
Have a good weekend. Thank you. All right, Commissioners, we're going to go to item number 9. And this item is a specialized on-call maintenance service update by the Bureau of Sanitation. And thank you for the attachment. And before us, we have Ms. Sandra Cristobal.
Yes, sorry. My name is Sandra. I'm an environmental engineer at Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant, and I'm here to present the oral report for the specialized as-needed maintenance contract with ACO and Murray. For the fourth quarter of fiscal year 23-24, a total of 3 projects were initiated with Murray Company for a total of $95,000. 0 projects were initiated with ACO. The totals for the fiscal years to date is 20 projects initiated with Murray Company for a total of $2,936,035. The values for ACO Engineering is just 1 project for a total of $8,153. The total amount invoiced to date by ACO's engineering system since the beginning of the contract is $1,570, with a 24% total achieved participation in the business inclusion program, and the total amount invoiced to date by Murray Company is $18,813,716, with a 71% total achieved participation in the business inclusion program. This concludes my oral report for the specialized as-needed maintenance contract.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Appreciate you reviewing these numbers with us. And your oral report was for specialized as-needed maintenance contract, a quarterly report. And this is for, you said Hyperion and another water reclamation plant?
It's managed by Hyperion, but it's used sanitation-wide, so solid.
Oh, sanitation-wise.
hygiene,
Okay.
correct.
I appreciate it. Thank you. All right. And is the handout that you gave us, is it reflected in the report? Is it in, did it make it in the?
I tried submitting it at the beginning of this week, but I think I didn't make the deadline.
Okay.
So TJ asked me to bring in copies.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. And just in the future, so we can have it reflected so the public can see it as well.
Okay. So it would be submitted to TJ like 2 weeks before? Do you know the deadline?
Do you know?
Oh, it's 1 week in advance, but I can send you out the information, the chart that goes out with the due dates for each board report.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
good. Thank you.
Hold on just a second. Thank you. And that's it. Yeah. Do we have any questions?
Vice President Villegas, we have the approval of minutes available if you want to vote on that for the minutes of May 24th.
I was going to get to that. Thank you. Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And we're good.
Okay,
I appreciate
thank
it. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend. Thank you. All right. We have finished the items before us, but thank you, Ms. Cole, for clarifying the minutes. Let's go back to the beginning of our agenda and approve the minutes for Friday, May 24th. Do we have a second to my motion to approve the minutes for May 24th, 2024? All right, Ms. Cole, we have a motion by myself and a second by Pro Tem Davis.
We'll tabulate the vote beginning with you, Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis. And Commissioner Corsair.
Aye.
All ayes, and the minutes are approved.
Thank you. And then we left open general public comment, so we will now go to those. And we will take the person with the letter starting with G. There's a design, and then there is the letter starting with G. For the record, I will call this out again for public comment, general public comment. There is a design on the public speaker card and the person starting with the letter G. All right, I've left ample time for general public comment. I will move on.
Mike
We
Greenspan.
also-
I signed up as Mike Greenspan. I signed up my name. I
I
didn't
am
sign.
not done.
Huh?
We have another letter. We have another card.
Sorry.
With the letter starting with P. We have another speaker card for general public comment with the letter starting with P. All right. We have another general public comment for Joe Public. Is Joe Public here? I do not see Joe Public here. And the last one is Mike Greenspan.
Okay, Mike Greenspan. I see we had a quorum today. Now, where's Susanna Reyes? She did not have an excused absence, and maybe Ara should have had her business done on a day such as a Monday, a Tuesday, or a Thursday when Board of Public Works doesn't meet. Or maybe you could have, if you cancel a meeting on Ramadan, maybe you could cancel a meeting and postpone everything to the Wednesday if there was actual business for the president of the Board of Public Works. Now, I do want to thank Mike Davis. He did a good fill-in job at the last meeting I was at, and I just, he let me speak, didn't interrupt, and I do want to say, and of course, I got to recognize Vahid Khorasan, because yesterday he went to the flying of the Progress Pride flag for Queer Pride Month, being the representative from the Board of Public Works. Now, as we talk about queer pride, be sure you queers show your pride. If you're going to give somebody a job, like a blow job for cigarettes, give him a carton. White trash doesn't know better, and everybody else is getting a pay raise. Well, he should get a pay raise too. The fact that the person was 13 or 14 years old and exploited also as child labor and only got a 50-cent pack of cigarettes, or a third of a minimum wage. Now, if we're going to go fly flags, I got a flag to fly, and I have pride in this one. Yes, folks, this one. How come that one didn't get flown at City Hall? Well, it's cold in here, but just wanted to show that flag because, after all, I'm not afraid to admit I'm from the South. I realize everybody hates our South and thinks of us as backward. So, fuck you.
All right, Ms. Tansey, does that clear the desk?
Yes, it does. And Vice President Villegas, just for the record, that item number 9 that was given to us in person will be a part of the permanent record when they upload everything.
Thank you. Thank you. Then we are adjourned for Friday, June 7th, 2024 at 11:40. Thank you.
Thank you.